How's it going, guys? Alpha here, bringing you pardon me, bringing you my week 3 battle for season 3 of the NPL. And this week my Rocky Mountain Marowaks took on NC Squared and his Litchfield Park Larvitars. Pardon my voice, it's probably all croaky and dying because I'm croaky and dying at the moment. I'm super sick, but we had our battle. If you haven't seen my team builder, I'd recommend you watch it because you'll know what I'm running and shit, and you'll know what my game plan was. So right off the bat, when the battle preview screen popped up, I didn't see Gyarados, and I was so freaking happy. You have no idea. I prepped so goddamn hard for that Gyarados, and it was realistically, in my opinion, it was the best way Nate would have had to beat my team. Just being with the Z-move capability and just being threatening both defensively and offensively, whether he runs Intimidate or Moxie, I felt it was his best route to try to beat me, but I didn't see it, so that immediately was a huge relief for me. What it meant was that I didn't have to be so careful with Gastrodon, basically. It allowed me to play a little bit more recklessly than I normally would have, I think, and I was really glad to see that. Also, I didn't have to bank on hitting Stone Edges with Cobalion, which was really nice. But anyways, so as you see, with the team that Nate brought was Lele, Goodra, Emboar, what do you call that thing, Umbreon, Alomomola, and Nidoqueen. So everything I pretty much expected, except I was really expecting to see the Mega Aggron and the Gyarados as opposed to the Umbreon and the Goodra. Mega Aggron also really threw me off because it allowed me to just basically click V-Create and win the game with Victini if it came to that. Also, didn't have to bank on hitting Focus Blast because Mega Aggron isn't here, which is really nice. But yeah, so I saw his team, and immediately I just clicked Gastrodon lead because if he leads Nidoqueen for Toxic Spikes or whatever, it immediately threatens the Nidoqueen because he can't really... he could stay in, but I have Dual Stab that covers him, plus the option of covering carrying Ice Beam, so it was like, there was no downside to leading Gastrodon here. The worst case scenario would have been if he led the Tapu Lele, because it obviously was, I'm assuming, was covering energy or carrying Energy Ball. So I click Gastrodon, and it allows me to put pressure on him right away because he can't really do anything to me with the exception of Lele. With the team that he brought. So right off the bat, as you see, he leads Alomomola as I lead a Gastrodon. I click Toxic turn 1. I'm expecting a Toxic in return, and that's exactly what happens. I could have switched into Cobalion there, but I didn't because the next turn I switched into Cobalion expecting a knockoff, and that allows me to immediately put pressure on his team as he does click knockoff as I switch into Cobalion, giving me a +1 boost, which is huge for this max attack Adamant Cobalion. So right off the bat, I'm threatening him because there aren't many things in his team that can take a hit. I just click Close Combat here because I have nothing to lose. It's not going to kill this thing, but he does elect to switch into his Emboar, and the Emboar does not take the close combat at all. Emboar's down 3 turns into the game. That's another threat to Victini that is out of the way. So now he brings in his Goodra, and I just click close combat again as he fires off a Draco Meteor. And at -2 special defense, it only does, I think, about 65%, if I'm not mistaken. 60%, so that immediately tells me this is a very defensive Goodra. He's very low on health, but he elects to switch into Alomomola here, which is a good play because I click Iron Head. I didn't really understand it at first, then I realized he's wish passing Alomomola. If I had clicked Close Combat here, this game might have been a little bit different, but I didn't. I elected to click Iron Head in case he wanted to go into Lele, which quad resists my Close Combat. I realized that would probably have been a dumb play on his part anyway, so I don't know why I did that. But so he goes into Aloe. I only do 20% with my Iron Head, which tells me that tells me he's especially defensive Aloe because Iron Head would have done about 15% max had he been max defense Bold or max defense Impish or whatever. So here I'm not willing to take the risk of him Scald Burning me, or actually at that point just straight up killing me. I don't think he probably would have, but I don't know. Didn't run the calc, but I wasn't worried about it. I didn't want to take the chance that he's going to click Scald and get a burn. So I switch into Gastro as he fires off the Wish. I'm paused it because I fell behind, as always. And that tells me, okay, he's going into Goodra here. I switch actually, not really, because I knew I couldn't kill him, a defensive Goodra with Gastrodon there. He gets his health all the way back up, which is not good for me. But he's going to fire off a Draco Meteor here as I put up my Stealth Rocks. And the Draco Meteor, or he fires off the Ice Beam, that's right. The Ice Beam does not kill me, so I just fire off a Close Combat here to do massive damage. He gets the Gooey Drop, which doesn't matter because he's going to kill me with the Draco Meteor here anyways. So he does just that, and my Cobalion goes down, but he put in the work this week, so I don't even care. Put pressure on his team so hard in the first 9 turns. I go into Gardevoir here because it allows me to set up a Calm Mind right off the bat as he brings in his Aloe, which tells me he's going to try to I don't really know why he did this, actually. I thought it was a strange play, but it was what he elected to do. I put up a Calm Mind. I'm going to put up a second Calm Mind here because I'm assuming at this point I've shown Calm Mind. He's going to go for a Toxic. I don't care. I have enough pop on my Gardevoir to kill his entire team at this point, so the Toxic really doesn't bother me. I'm just going to fire off a Hyper Voice here, which the Alomomola is not going to live after. Wouldn't have lived. He would have lived that, actually, most likely, had he not been Toxic, but because of the Toxic, he did die. I ran the calc, and I think there was a chance that he would have lived that otherwise. But his Alomomola goes down, which is huge for preventing his team from wish recovering. At this point, +2, even if he was max defense, he would not have lived that hit. It would have been done about 103% min, I think, or something like that. I don't remember the exact calc. But here, at this point, he goes into the Umbreon, tells me he's probably packing Protect because he does not take a Hyper Voice to +2. At this point, Mega Gardevoir just controls the rest of this game. The Protect was a good play on his part, though, because it does allow him to stall out my Mega Gardevoir, because I will die in 2 turns to Toxic. I fire off the Hyper Voice, his Umbreon goes down. At this point, it's looking pretty bleak for him, because I do still have Victini, which OHKOs Lele with V-Create. And he goes into his Goodra, which I just kill off with a Hyper Voice, and Mega Gardevoir picks up 4 kills before dropping to Toxic, which is huge. Starting to get a little nervous about drafting it because I hadn't had any kills in the first 2 weeks, but I do pick up 4 this week with her, and Azura put in the finest work. And now I bring in Victini against his Lele, which will outspeed me if he's high speed, and which it turns out he is, because I was only calced to outspeed Gyarados. So he outspeeds me. He likes to put up a Calm Mind. I don't know, maybe at this point he didn't really have a lot of options. Maybe he was just banking on me being a special Victini. I, of course, am not, so I just click V-Create here, and we win. I get a crit, and I don't think that mattered unless he was a bulky variant. After rock damage, unless he was a really bulky variant, it wouldn't matter, which I don't think he was because he ended up outspeeding me. But worst case scenario, I would have gotten a kill one way or another eventually. So I don't think that mattered, but we do pick up a clean 4-0 victory to bounce back from our ugly 2-0 last week. And we are now 2-1 on the season with a +5 differential, still staying pretty good in our race at the moment. And yeah, this ends our first round of divisional games, and now we head off to our gauntlet of an out-of-division schedule. Next week we take on Adam, the Bee's Knees, and his Kansas City Kakunas, and his Mega Beedrill that is running wild on the league right now, which is crazy to say considering now that it doesn't need to Pax Protect, it's kind of a god tier Mega, but it's just running wild on the league right now, and it's kind of terrifying. I don't really know what I'm going to do about that. We're going to have to see. But we do take on Adam next week. It should be a great battle. I've never actually played Adam, which should make it even more interesting. It's funny because there are like 4 rivalry battles, quote-unquote, next week, and then I'm playing Adam for the first time. So I'm just like, okay, not a rivalry week for me, but maybe it'll be the start of one. Who knows? I'm really excited for it, though. Definitely a must-win game next week just because my schedule is so tough out of division. But that's all I have for you guys today. If you guys like the video and want to show your support, be sure to hit the like button and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also remember to subscribe and know the droplets today, and I'm going to share, because sharing is caring. Follow me on Twitter because I do updates and stuff. You know, videos are coming out, so you can contact with me, and sometimes I'm kind of funny. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll speak to you soon. Peace out.